Good evening. There was high drama in the West Bengal Assembly today when Trinamool Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Party MLAs virtually came to blows during a special session. Mamata Banerjee launched a frontal attack on the BJP, on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. The BJP Chief Whip, Dr. Shankar Ghosh, was injured in the scuffle during a heated exchange on the issue of attack on Bengali migrant workers in BJP-ruled states. The BJP, of course, in the past has said that they are targeting illegal Bangladeshis in India, and that big debate is our top focus story.
Bengal House turns battlefield.
Modi chor, BJP chor. Modi chor, BJP chor. Anti-Bengali BJP hatao, desh bachao.
Vote chor war explodes. Chants, chaos and clash in assembly. Marshals clash with BJP MLAs, BJP Chief Whip injured. BJP cries murder of democracy by Mamata.
Suvendu, you have tweeted murder of democracy.
Yes. Yes.
SIR showdown, the Bengal files. That is a big focus on India First.
So is this a debate about an attack on Bengali migrant workers within the country, or are illegal Bangladeshis living in India being rounded up? The battle lines are very clearly drawn between the ruling TMC in Bengal and the opposition BJP, and passions ran high. Speaker Mamata Banerjee called in marshals to evict BJP's chief whip, Dr. Ghosh, following his suspension. BJP MLAs, they were chanting Jai Shri Ram as they stalled proceedings. And the TMC sought to pass a motion condemning the attack on the Bengali migrant workers in BJP-ruled states. And we get you that entire story on this special broadcast. Also coming up on India First, how do the GST rate cuts impact your lives? What's cheaper and what's not? What will spur growth and manufacturing? Jayant Sinha, former Minister of State Finance, explains the big bumper move by the Narendra Modi government ahead of the festival season. And that big question, does it help cushion the blow of additional US tariffs? That's coming up on India First. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines at 8. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails the GST reform, says reduce tax slabs to boost ease of living and manufacturing in India. PM also lashed out at the previous UPA government for heavily taxing the common people of this country.
टैक्स सिस्टम कहीं अधिक सिंपल हुआ। दूसरा, भारत के नागरिकों की क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ और बढ़ेगी। तीसरा, कंजम्पशन और ग्रोथ दोनों को नया बूस्टर मिलेगा।
Some relief for residents of Delhi. Yamuna river slowly starts to recede, but it's still flowing above the danger mark. Delhi government maintains round-the-clock vigil. Thousands shifted to relief camps. Enforcement Directorate questions cricketer Shikhar Dhawan for over 8 hours for allegedly promoting an illegal betting app. Last month, cricketer Suresh Raina and actors Rana Dagubati and Vijay Devarakonda were also questioned. More proof of Indian missile strikes in Pakistan. The latest satellite images accessed by India today show beginning of reconstruction work at the Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi that was struck by India during Operation Sindhur. India today accesses the Donald Trump government's appeal before Supreme Court on tariffs, which states tariffs on India for purchasing Russian oil, claims tariff on India vital for peace in Ukraine. The Bengal Assembly witnessed high drama today with Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee accusing the BJP, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah of being anti-Bengal and blocking a discussion on the harassment of Bengalis in BJP-ruled states. Leader of opposition in the State Assembly, Suvendu Adhikari, hit back, saying democracy was murdered by Mamata Banerjee-led government in the state. India Today's Indrajit Kundu gets you our top story.
The vote chori controversy is exploding. After Bihar, it is Bengal now. Slogans, chaos and clashes, that too inside the West Bengal Assembly. The showdown began with Speaker suspending BJP's Chief Whip, Shankar Ghosh, for disrupting Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's speech.
Please don't do it here.
While Ghosh refused to leave, marshals marched in. A scuffle broke out. The BJP MLA was injured and is now in the hospital undergoing treatment. Other BJP MLAs were marshalled out after they tore papers and raised slogans of Jai Shri Ram. Mamata Banerjee hit back with fire. From vote chori to Modi chor and BJP chor, she raised her own slogans accusing the BJP of poll fraud and corruption.
সবাই স্লোগান দাও মোদি চোর মোদি চোর মোদি চোর বিজেপি চোর মোদি চোর বিজেপি চোর মোদি চোর বিজেপি চোর অ্যান্টি বেঙ্গলি বিজেপি হটাও দেশ বাঁচাও.
As the injured MLA was rushed to hospital, BJP's fight shifted to the streets outside assembly. Leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari led BJP protests, alleging Mamata murdered democracy.
All are Gunda, TMC cadre. They brutally attacked and physically assaulted and injured Chief Whip opposition Shankar Ghosh. Instruction by Speaker Mamata Banerjee, instigated by Thief Mamata Banerjee, a great thief of Bengal.
Suvendu, you have tweeted murder of democracy.
Yes.
বাঙালির উপর অত্যাচারী করার দল.
The Bengal Assembly meanwhile passed a resolution condemning attacks on Bengali-speaking migrants in BJP-ruled state.
আর আপনারা অ্যান্টি বেঙ্গলি, ইউ আর অ্যান্টি বেঙ্গল. আপনারা বাংলা ভাষাকে মর্যাদা দেন না, বাংলাকে নিচুতে টেনে নামান. আপনারা বাংলার মানুষকে কি করেন? অত্যাচার করেন.
ममता बनर्जी देश की वो मुख्यमंत्री है जिसको डेमोक्रेसी में भरोसा नहीं है. डेमोक्रेसी में जिसको भरोसा होगा वो ये काम नहीं करेगा. अब बंगाल के हिंदुओं को सचेत होना होगा, नहीं तो पूरे बंगाल को मुस्लिम राज्य बना देगा.
From the floor to the assembly to the streets outside, the fight over vote chori allegations are Bengal's new flashpoint. Bureau Report, India Today.
কোটা চোর, চোরেদের দল, ডাকাতদের দল.
So is this about a crackdown on Bengalis in other BJP-ruled states or Bangladeshis in BJP-ruled states? With assembly elections just about 8 months away in Bengal, the battle lines are very clearly drawn with threats and challenges of now taking the fight not just in the assembly but to the streets. And why is this battle so bitter and so personal? Joining me on India First is Shikhar Mukherjee, he's a political analyst and senior journalist. Tuhin Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP. Garga Chatterjee joins us as an analyst. Will also give us the Trinamool Congress perspective on the story. Rajat Sethi, political analyst and author. And Garga Chatterjee, if I could begin by asking you, sir, Bengal, very famous for Rasgulla, even sweeter language and the Bhadralok culture. What was witnessed in the assembly today, sir, was none of the above. Mamata di ko itna gussa kyun aata hai?
So the Bengal Assembly today had a historic session at a time when Bengali Indian citizens are being targeted and criminalized for speaking Bangla in India, a country that was liberated by Subhash Chandra Bosu, whose mother tongue was Bangla. In fact, the New York Times carried an article just a few days ago which summarized this situation as the title was "The Risk of Speaking Bengali." It is true that people of Bangladesh speak the Bangla language, but there is nothing called the Bangladeshi language, which the Home Ministry of India under Amit Shah has referred to Bengali language as. It's a very tricky trend. Let me tell you something. Pakistanis, when they see the number 1, they say ek. When they see the number 2, they say do. When they see the number 10, they say das. So should we go around India and in West Bengal catching people who say ek, do and das and brand them Pakistanis? Because we know there is infiltration from Pakistan. Of course, that's a reality. It's a dangerous reality, but it's a reality. So we should understand what is going on. And let me run off very fast certain names. Babai Sardar, he is a very active RSS activist who also did the 3rd stage course of the RSS in Nagpur, who was picked up from Nasik as being branded as a foreigner and was kept in a detention camp in Nagpur. Okay, the Diamond Harbour MP Abhishek Banerjee finally sort of freed him. Sujan Sarkar of Murshidabad, who was beaten up in Orissa, tagged as a foreigner. Buddhadev Barik of Medinipur. Debashish Das of Chuchro. Debashish Das I have personally met. I went and held a rally with him from Chuchro district. Binoy Beshra, he's a Adibashi, okay, who lives in Malda, a son of Bengal. Again, being beaten up, you know. We have from the Motua community in Gurgaon, Nathuram Bishwas. Nathuram, even the name suggests that the family might have been kind of, you know, the father might have been believing in a certain kind of ideology. He was picked up and then, you know, I can go on with such names.
Fair enough. So let me now take this. Let me take this to Tuhin Sinha. Tuhin Sinha, Indian Bengalis are being branded Bangladeshis and targeted is the allegation. And when the assembly sits to discuss this, as Garga Chatterjee says, for a historic session, the BJP created ruckus. How is the BJP any different when your party spokesperson tweeted TMC means Talibani mindset and culture? Why is the BJP hesitant, as some in the Trinamool Congress ask, discuss these claims of attacks on Bengalis in BJP-ruled states?
Well, good evening, Gaurav. Good evening, everybody. First of all, our opposition to Mamata Banerjee was primarily on account of her uncouth, uncivilized, despicable choice of words. You know, on the floor of the House, when she uses words like Modi chor, BJP chor, without any evidence, I think, you know, the speaker should have ideally suspended her at that point of time, but instead, the speaker chose to let the marshals go after BJP MLAs. So let us not obfuscate issues. We were open to all discussions. It was primarily the uncouth behavior of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee which provoked us, which made us protest her behavior. Number two, TMC is today mentioning certain exceptions, of people being caught who were not Bangladeshis. Now, unless, you have evidence of that, unless I have clear evidence of that, I would not trust the TMC, because like the Congress party, TMC is a master in the art of fakery. And finally, it boils down to, do they really want, it's very clear. Both the Congress party and the TMC have made their choices clear. They will abuse the Prime Minister only because we are going after illegal migrants. Why should illegal migrants deplete the resources of our country? It is, and one last point, the kind of violence which these people have unleashed in Murshidabad in recent times, across Bengal in the aftermath of 2021 elections, I think, what we saw in Bengal Assembly today seems to suggest that TMC is prepared to unleash any kind of violence across Bengal, because they know that the feet is slipping, the ground is slipping beneath the feet. which
Okay,
is
give me
very
a moment. I
dangerous.
think we've just lost our link to Shikha Mukherjee and I'll bring her in just a moment into this conversation. Rajat Sethi, is this about Bengalis or Bangladeshis? Amit Malviya, the BJP co-in-charge Bengal and BJP IT cell chief had posted things to the effect that illegal Bangladeshis are being targeted. So is this now a battle of Bengali Asmita versus illegal Bangladeshi infiltrators in Bengal?
Well, without getting into the politics of the state of Bengal, I only want to refer to Mamata Banerjee when she was a member of the parliament and what she has spoken on the floor of the house. I just want to corroborate whom was she pointing out when she was saying that that Bengal has come to a situation where it will be inundated by illegal migrants completely. Was she not referring to the Bengali Asmita then? See, it's out and out politics. She knows that she needs to start drum beating around the election time, and the election time is 7-8 months. What better to stoke the regional sentiments? You see this happening in the southern states all the time when election comes. This is the same old script. The problem is that our politicians have run out of ideas. They have absolutely nothing to contribute to the growth story of the states that they're leading, that they're sitting in the chair for. Let me ask this question. What about Bengali Asmita she talks about? She constituted a global economic think tank of sorts for Bengal, and which had all the luminaries around the world, including Amartya Sen. Such think tanks don't even meet even once in her own state. What has she done for the Bengali Asmita before she comes out and claims Bengali Asmita as something that she's proud of? My problem here is that you want to politic, but don't do your politicking at the cost of internal security. That remains bottom line, and no citizen of this country should fall for such petty level politics. It's as simple as that. Now, the problem here is clear. Prime Minister Modi and the Home Minister has repeatedly said that this country will have to say no to illegal migrants. No country allowed for that matter. And as long
so
as
is
that
this
remains
about
the subject, you should not make it political no matter what.
Okay, and I'll come to Garga to respond to that. But Shikha Mukherjee, 2021 elections started on the 27th of March in Bengal. So barely about 7 to 8 months to go for polling. In the way you look at it, is this likely to get even more bitter and personal and spill out on the streets of Bengal? Is this about Bengali Asmita, or is this Bengali Asmita versus illegal Bangladeshis in our country?
Well, I think, let's be very clear. Bengal elections are always high-pitched. They are always very intense. And as you pointed out, 2021, look at the run-up to the 2021 election. We all covered it. We all know what happened. We also saw what happened in the 2024 general election. Extreme and intense campaigning by both sides. And frankly speaking, if you look at the way in which the language issue, who speaks what? Why is Bengali a matter of contention? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves. And then you have something that, frankly speaking, the BJP has been pursuing for 30-odd years, which is illegal immigrants, and especially illegal Bangladeshi immigrants. They've had for 30 years, when L.K. Advani was the Home Minister, he used to try and detect these people and then push them back across the border, etc. You have a situation where we are unable to speak to the Bangladesh government on the matter. At this point and in the past, we've had a problem. Therefore, this problem of illegal immigrant is not going to go away. It is a political issue. It will remain a political issue because there is no solution to the problem as it stands. The two governments can't talk to each other on the issue. And therefore,
is this then
there
the
is the politics of it.
most evocative issue in the run-up to elections, along with SIR, the special intensive revision? And I'll come to that aspect in just a moment, because Garga Chatterjee, Mamata Banerjee said, and I quote, "Mark my words, a day will come when not a single BJP MLA will sit in this house. People will throw you out of power. The Modi and Amit Shah-led government at the center will collapse soon," or words to that effect. Sir, isn't this wishful thinking on the part of either Mamata Banerjee or the Trinamool Congress? Look at the BJP's vote share in Bengal that went up from 4% in 2011 to about 37.9%, and the tally went from 0 in 2011 to 77 in the last assembly elections.
So what she was referring to is a phenomena which post 71, there are lots of people, Hindu Bengalis, who have faced religious persecution in Bangladesh and have come into India, West Bengal, Assam, etc., various other states, who are not CAA eligible because the CAA has been made so that Hindu Bengalis cannot actually take advantage of it. Today, in fact, Himanta Biswa Sharma, the Assam Chief Minister, laid it to the public that with all this much touted CAA, a total of 12 people had applied and 3 had gotten citizenship. So you can understand, what's the reality. Also on the illegal Bangladeshi, huge number of people coming in, let me give you, I'll be on facts again. From 1971 to 1981 to 1991 to 2001 to 2011, all the decades where census has happened, the percentage of Indians who have Bangla as their mother tongue has actually decreased in every decade. So on one side you are claiming there is lakhs and crores of illegal Bangladeshi Muslims who are totally coming in, and then in every decade Bengali as mother language speaking percentage in Indian population, not citizen mind you, is going down, and then you are picking up Hindu Bengalis and also Muslim Bengalis who are Indian citizens, and then you are claiming they are foreigners. Let me give you one case, and I'll end my case. So I went to Kaliachok in Malda to go to the home of Amir Sheikh. He's a 21-year-old boy who went to Rajasthan to work. That was his first time getting outside of the state. So he was picked up again as a foreigner. Of course, a Muslim name doesn't help. And then he was actually transferred to the Gojadanga border by the BSF, and then he was lobbed allegedly using a JCB into Bangladesh. Okay, the story doesn't end here. So in Bangladesh, he got hold of some guy who had a cell phone, did a video call. Father came to know. I went to the dad. They have documents from 1941, 61, 70s, 80s, etc. Legitimate Indian forever. Okay. And then a habeas corpus case is done by the father. BSF is forced to talk to the border guard Bangladesh, give the guy back to Bosirhat police. The point is, on what documents did this Indian citizen get picked up from Rajasthan, transported to BSF and chucked on the other side of the border? Okay. This is human trafficking, kidnapping, or is it the crime of being Bengali in India?
Tuhin Sinha, the TMC's allegation is that the BJP is, if not just permitting, it's actually facilitating harassment of Bengali-speaking Indians, whether they're in Odisha or in Delhi or in Rajasthan or Maharashtra or Assam, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, including in some instances, the TMC says those who are showing that they show that they have valid Indian documents. How do you look at this detention or forced detention and branding these people as Bangladeshis?
The TMC is quoting rarest of rare exceptions, which can, which exist in all situations. But, even as a journalist, all you need to do is travel to areas of Malda, North 24 Parganas, South 24 Parganas in Bengal, Murshidabad in Bengal, and some of the shanties, beside Gurugram and Noida. You will see the situation for yourself. I don't need to emphasize the problem of illegal migration, whether it is almost 10 districts of Bengal today, whether it is the Santhal Pargana area of Jharkhand, all of these are impacted. And now because of the free run they enjoy in these districts where they get naturalized by friendly parties like TMC, RJD, JMM, they get Aadhaar cards by virtue of which they are spread out across the country. Now on your show today, let Garga Chatterjee support SIR, which these people have tried their best to stall in the last 2 months, but the Supreme Court found nothing wrong with it. All of these antics which TMC is coming up with is only to circumvent, only to stop SIR in Bengal, because they know that the findings of SIR in Bengal will be shocking, will be unbelievable, and they want to stall it by all means.
Shikha Mukherjee, is that also your appreciation that this Bengali Asmita versus illegal Bangladeshi issue is ultimately going to lead to the BJP calling for that special intensive revision of the voter list, and the TMC by some
The BJP
accounts?
has already called it, Gaurav.
Yes,
Gaurav,
yes,
BJP has
yes, and
already
the
called
election
the
commission.
SIR in West
Yes, and
Bengal.
the election commission
And
says we will do
it
it
has
at an
also done so
appropriate time.
in Assam. But the point that you're trying to raise is important, which is that will an SIR do what Mr. Sinha hopes it will, which is detect millions of these illegal immigrants in West Bengal? Yes, it will. And what kind of illegal immigrants Mr. Tuhin Sinha should also know. Because Mr. Tuhin Sinha should also know that from 71, thousands, tens of thousands of Hindu Bengalis have come across the border. Their documentation will also be open to inspection. Let me also explain to Mr. Tuhin Sinha and the others that if it is about, say, the one community, the Matwas are a community which impact many, many constituencies in West Bengal, directly and indirectly. Now, if you look at the Matwas, they actually came post-71. Most of the Matwas came post-71. So you have this huge number of people who are in panic at this point in time. And they are trying to sort of set up ways in which to determine whether they will be negatively impacted, whether their citizenship as Indians is going to be questioned and challenged, and they are going to have to be put into detention camps. And this is the story that we are hearing here, that Matwas and others who have come in after 71 are asking, we ran away from Bangladesh because
Will we
of
be
persecution.
sent back?
Will we
Rajat
be,
Sethi, you want to quickly respond?
Will we be persecuted once again? Will we be detained in detention camps? This is panic.
Okay, Rajat Sethi, you want to quickly respond to that?
Yeah, let's not trivialize this issue. The naturalization process in India also has a time window, which is 10 to 11 years. And anybody who has stayed beyond that becomes a citizen of this country. All that needs to be shown is that they have been in India for that long. So this kind of a fear that is created in this any kind of a community, be it Hindu, Muslim, is unfair. The other paradoxical situation is that there was a distinguishment which was created between people who are sneaking into our borders, crossing the country for economic reasons and for political persecution reasons. This was the entire premise for having CAA and having NRC in the very first place. But there was this hoopla around, and Mamata Banerjee, she took a flip-flop on the positions around which she started her politics. My simple point is that illegal migration was the core point that defined her politics for decades and decades. And she now gups up and says, because that becomes a convenient vote base for her, she wants to throw the issue around. And she wants to ensure that she can lap up. See, the problem that Garga has mentioned, again, anecdotes, and this is a famous saying that anecdotes cannot replace statistics. The statistics clearly says that there are illegal migrants. The paradoxical situation is that all illegal migrants, they first get all their paperwork in place. The problem is paradoxically...
I'm very happy that Rajat Sethi raised the issue of people who have come across the border legally or illegally for economic reasons. Now, this is a problem which has to be resolved on a government-to-government basis. For 11 years, nothing has been done. What was the government doing? This is a problem. And please, Rajat Sethi, go back and look at history, recent history. Mr. Advani raised this issue. Mr. Advani tried to make this into a kind of policy. It didn't happen. And I'm talking back in the 1990s. And that is between people who come here for economic reasons and people who are coming for other reasons. And please,
those who are persecuted.
But please, there was a time when Mr. Buddhadev Bhattacharya and Mr. L.K. Advani were very seriously concerned about the terrorist influx into via the West Bengal border.
Yes, and that remains
This.
a very, very major
Having
concern.
all this having happened for 11 years, why was no serious work done on this
And
on these skills?
Can I-
to Insanat, the last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show. You want to quickly
No,
respond to
I
that?
think, you know,
Does
it's-
this only end up
it's
being an
very-
electoral issue?
It's
Okay, does it
very
only end up being an
unfair to
electoral
say-
issue just before elections?
Yeah.
It's very unfair to say that not much has been done. Border fencing has been initiated on a war footing, barring the 450 kilometers, of border where Mamata Banerjee does not want to give a free hand for, for BSF patrolling because of some land issues. Almost the entire border has been seized. And not only that, we are equally serious about our border with Myanmar. 1,500 kilometers are being fenced. Again, 2 years ago, when a new rule was initiated, that the radius of patrolling would be extended to a radius of 50 kilometers. Which party had opposed it? It was the TMC which opposed it tooth and nail. So TMC is
So
fundamentally
clearly,
in all
round one of this battle was Bengali Asmita versus the illegal Bangladeshis. Will it now intensify in the run-up to elections to the special intensive revision of the electoral roll? I've run out of time on this part of the show. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me. I now want to shift focus to the Prime Minister hailing the GST Council's approval of what he called was the next generation GST reforms. Prime Minister Narendra Modi described them as a significant step to improve the lives of citizens, to bring in ease of business operations, particularly for MSME and also for small traders. Now, the reforms announced after this 56th GST Council meeting in Delhi, the Prime Minister said would benefit the common people in our country. It would benefit farmers, MSME, middle class, women and youth. He said that the reforms align with his Independence Day speech on the 15th of August, where he promised a Diwali Bonanza, a gift of reduced tax burden. The Prime Minister specifically mentioned that reforms effective from the 22nd of September 2025, that's when Navratri starts, would add 5 gems to the Indian economy. For more, watch this report.
Tariff tussle, taxes and a message. India's growth story cannot be stopped. As global trade war heats up, India finds itself right at the center. US President on Wednesday doubled down on his tariff rant. In his latest quote, filing defending fresh tariffs, Donald Trump accused India of draining America's wealth.
For many years, it was a one-sided relationship. Only now, since I came along, and because of the power that we have with tariffs, India was charging us tremendous tariffs, about the highest in the world. So they would send in massive, everything they made, they'd send it in, pour it into our country. Therefore, it wouldn't be made here, which is a negative. But we would not send in anything because they were charging us 100% tariff.
In Beijing, Russian President Vladimir Putin hailed India and China as true economic giants.
And from international law point of view, everyone must have equal rights, must be in the similar position. Yes, there are economic giants like India or China, and actually our country is among top 4 biggest economies if we speak about the purchasing power parity. These are the current realities.
2 clashing narratives, but the numbers tell the truth. India is the world's fastest growing major economy, now the 4th largest, and on track to hit $7.3 trillion GDP by 2030. And now, GST 2.0 promises to take the momentum further. The reform has simplified taxes. Essentials are in the nil slab. Most goods at 5% or 18% and a 40% slab reserved for sin goods.
इससे भारत की शानदार अर्थव्यवस्था में पंचरत्न जुड़े हैं। पहला, टैक्स सिस्टम कहीं अधिक सिंपल हुआ। दूसरा, भारत के नागरिकों की क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ और बढ़ेगी। तीसरा, कंजम्पशन और ग्रोथ दोनों को नया बूस्टर मिलेगा। और चौथा, ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस से निवेश और नौकरी को बल मिलेगा। और पांचवा, विकसित भारत के लिए कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म यानी राज्यों और केंद्र की साझेदारी और मजबूत होगी।
GST on ACs, TVs, dishwashers cut to 18% from 28%, a demand booster. Daily essentials like biscuits, soaps, toothpaste down to 5%. Cement falls to 18%, a shot in the arm for India's infrastructure drive. Fertilizers, tractors, irrigation gear cut to 5%. Direct benefit to farmers and the agriculture economy. Economists say the move will turbocharge domestic consumption.
For the common person, I think he will have more money in his hand, specifically sectors like farmers, like the education, I would say infrastructure, they will have, there's more impetus given on that. So common person will have more money, which is a key driving for the economy.
So while Donald Trump rants and tariffs rise, India is pushing ahead. The message is clear. The Indian economy is not just surviving global shocks, it is shaping the new world order. Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me now with the latest on this big India Today special broadcast is Jayant Sinha, former Minister of State for Finance. Mr. Sinha, welcome. You were MOS Finance in 2017 when GST was first rolled out. Your take on the GST rate cut impact. Will it spur spending ahead of this festival season as expected?
Gaurav, greetings. Glad to be on your show. I think we really have to understand this very major and historic reform process in two ways. First is the reduction in prices across the board for consumers. And this includes both the staples of daily life, bread, soap, toothpaste, all of that, the necessities, if you will. But it also includes, comfort items like air conditioners, TVs, cars, things of that sort as well. And these consumer durables, along with the consumer goods that we buy on a day-to-day basis, all of these are going to see price reductions. And this, of course, is going to be a big boon for consumers and also very beneficial for manufacturers because their demand is going to go up. They're going to see higher volumes. They're going to see higher profits as a result of that. So that's the first order impact of this historic reform, which in itself is very, very positive. However, we should also look at the second order effects as well.
Okay, so you've spoken of this first order effect on consumers, but let's, take this forward and talk about the second order effect, the impact, for example, on manufacturing, or will this help bring down inflation in the long run? And will these reforms then lead to interest rate cuts too?
Very much so, Gaurav. I think the second order impact here in some ways is going to be even more significant. You've laid out two, I'll add a third one, which is India's resilience, Atmanirbharta, if you will, because more supply chains are going to end up becoming more and more domestically centered, whether we look at it from the point of view of solar panels, batteries, automotive supply chain, all of those because of lower GST rates are going to get more indigenized. But the two primary second order impacts, as you have mentioned, number one is going to be in investment, because what's going to happen is as we see more demand, particularly for consumer durables like air conditioners, TVs, washing machines, cars, this is going to spur more investment by manufacturers, which is very, very powerful because ultimately it's investment that drives jobs and growth. And that's very, very important, very salient. And the other aspect of this is, which not everybody has really highlighted as much as they should, which is really the impact on inflation. When you have across the board price cuts, as it's going to happen with these lower GST rates, you are going to see an impact on inflation that could well be up to 1 percentage point. So if inflation is running at between 3 to 4%, we may very well see inflation now come coming down to 2 to 3%. So when inflation comes down, obviously it gives the RBI the space to be able to further reduce rates. And when we further reduce rates, that reduces the fiscal burden on the government, because the government pays out a lot in interest expenses, and of course for consumers as well, because their mortgage rates and their EMIs come down, and this spurs further consumption. So these second order impacts are very, very powerful.
Sir, when we look at these reforms and the timing of the GST reforms, are they aimed to cushion the economic blow of the 25% plus additional 25% tariffs imposed on the 27th of August 2025 to boost domestic demand? And in your view, Mr. Sinha, can it offset the massive export disruptions that we see?
It'll more than offset the tariff shock. So we are going to neutralize that and move forward. The Honorable Finance Minister has clearly laid out that this is not something that we're doing in response to what America has done. We have had these reforms underway for a lengthy period of time. They've been underway for the last 18 months. And it was also time to reset GST rates that has been discussed for quite some time now. And so this has been done because for us, for India, for the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Finance Minister, reforms are a continuous process. And of course, the reforms in GST, when they were first instituted in 2017, were very, very historic. And these further reforms now are also going to be very, very important for us. So it's a continuous process. We don't do this in response to what other countries are doing. We're doing this because this is the right thing to do for India.
Okay, but permit me to stay a moment on the US tariffs, the additional sanctions as the Trump administration calls it. I want to specifically talk about gems and jewelry as a sector, or textiles or leather. What impact will this move have to cushion the impact of the Trump tax here?
Of course, domestic consumption is going to increase. And so when we look at exports or when we look at manufacturing that is being done for exports, particularly the US, that demand, if it goes down, that is the US demand goes down, it can be offset by increased domestic consumption as well as by exporting to other countries. Both of these will happen because, as I said, domestic consumption obviously will increase when prices are reduced. And at the same time, our supply chains will become more resilient, more indigenized, enable lower costs for our supply chain, making us much more competitive from an exports point of view to Europe, to the UK, to Japan, Korea, and our other trading partners. So we will be able to deal with all of the disruptions that are happening on the tariff side with the United States, I think, quite successfully with these very powerful steps that have been undertaken.
Okay. So external tariffs apart, internally, sir, states are projecting a revenue loss between 85,000 crore rupees to some saying it could be as high as 2 lakh crore rupees a year. How real is that concern?
I don't think it's a real concern. The government has laid out very clear numbers showing that even though on a historical basis, that is, if you look at the past year, there will be an impact on revenue of about 1 lakh crores. That's offset by the fact that a number of goods are going to go into the demerit rate of 40%. So there'll be roughly an increase in revenue of about 50,000 crores there.
Okay.
And then you will have a small, about 50,000 crore deficit that will have to be overcome by the states and the center combined. But that is a static view. That is the view looking at the past year. The economy is dynamic. And so when you do this kind of analysis, you have to do it on a dynamic basis. The economy will grow, consumption will be boosted, investment will go up. And so dynamically, when you look forward, I think we'll more than make up the revenue loss that we will get from reducing these rates. And that's the benefit of cutting tax rates.
Sir, before we let you go, Mr. Sinha, I also want to ask you, there are some who say this revenue loss, if it's 40,000 crore rupees or 50,000 crore rupee, does that mean that the government will have less money and then less money to spend on infrastructure? Is that a real fear, sir?
No, Gaurav. There are many other ways in which this revenue deficit, again, which is a notional revenue deficit because it's done on historical calculations. That's a static view, not a dynamic view. So first of all, it's not even clear that there will in fact dynamically be any revenue loss. But more than that, the government has many other revenue sources. So the fiscal deficit number that was laid out in the budget of 4.4%, I think we are going to be able to protect that. We are expecting more surplus money from RBI. Other tax revenues are quite strong. So I think the fiscal deficit number of 4.4% that was laid out in the budget is going to be protected.
Mr. Jayant Sinha, former Minister of State Finance, for joining me here on this India First special broadcast. Many thanks. So there will be more money in your pocket to spend 22nd of September onwards. I mean, the moment Navratri comes in, and then of course Dhanteras, Dashehra and Deepavali. So this festive season, there is more reason to celebrate. Okay, let me now get you an India Today exclusive report. Months after India's precision strikes at 11 air bases, 6 radar stations and 9 terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, during Operation Sindhur, Pakistan is quietly rebuilding its prized Noor Khan Air Base, which was its crucial command and control center near Rawalpindi. So India Today has accessed fresh satellite images, and they show now there are new walls that are coming up. There's new groundwork that's happening. The very site when Indian missiles, as part of Operation Sindhur, wiped out specialized military equipment, assets that are believed to be the command and control center of Pakistan Air Force. Now, this rebuild exercise is a desperate attempt to restore Pakistan's capacity, but the message is very clear. India's May 2025 strikes penetrated deep inside Pakistan, hit the heart of Pakistan, including in Pakistan's Punjab province, and not restricted just to Muridke and Bahawalpur terrorist headquarters, but crucial bases of Pakistan Air Force. One thing is very clear, Rawalpindi, that's the headquarters of Pakistan Army, and that's vulnerable. The Noor Khan Air Base is home to Pakistan's elite VVIP squadron. It sits just outside Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. Take a look at these two images that we've put out on your television screen. I want to now quickly cut across to India Today's Ankit Kumar, who explains the difference in the images on the 10th of May and the 4th of September. Ankit, take it away.
Nearly 4 months after India targeted one of the most VVIP air bases, Noor Khan Air Base in Pakistan, the reconstruction work has begun there. Now, satellite pictures show what it used to look like before the attack. This is from April 25th. This portion, this specific part, which has specialized military trucks that many analysts believe acted as the command and control center, the C2 centers for this airbase, was targeted. Now, how do we know it was targeted? Because we have another imagery which shows this particular center, this particular part completely destroyed in this picture, which was taken on 10th of May. Now, after the attack, what happened was that this entire area was cleaned up. This is from 17th of May. You can see it was cleaned up. Even on 26th of July, this area was cleaned up. But yesterday, that is Wednesday, the pictures can show you new construction, new walls coming up exactly at this particular area. Why this airbase is so important? Because it is home of number 12 Squadron of Pakistan Air Force, which is tasked with flying the VVIPs of Pakistan, the president, the prime minister, their families, even the army chief. This particular aircraft that you see, this is most likely the same aircraft which was used to fly the army chief Asim Munir from Chaklala, which is the place where this airbase is, to the United States in his recent visit. So you can see the most VVIP airbase in Rawalpindi is now undergoing reconstruction following the Operation Sindhur impact.
Operation Sindhur sent across one very clear message to that state sponsor of radical Islamist terror. No part of Pakistan is safe from the Indian missiles, whether it's the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile or an S-400 system, an air defense system, which actually in an offensive role went and hit a target in the air 324 kilometers deep inside Pakistan. That's how strong India is. Even when you had Pakistan, Chinese equipment, Chinese satellites and Chinese intelligence assessment and Turkey coming together, India still emerged on top. That is all I have for you on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.